Chairman Nelson, Ranking Member Collins, members of the committee and staff. I want to thank you for holding this hearing on a subject that has, touched the lives of everyone in this room. But as I have learned over the past 18 months, you don't have a complete understanding of everything that is involved with a cancer diagnosis until you receive one. I am grateful the committee has taken the time to explore this issue, and I hope I am able to add value to the committee's efforts. Senator Collins, thank you for that very kind introduction. I didn't expect to be testifying before the Senate at any time, and wish it was for another reason, but at least I'm not under subpoena. The committee has asked me to testify about my personal experience, so I'll primarily be focusing on lung cancer. But I strongly support the funding for and the eradication of every single type of cancer. My journey to testifying here today began in the fall of 2012. I was a 31-year-old father of a wonderful 2-year-old boy named Joe, and my wife Sheila, who is here with me today, was 35 weeks pregnant with our baby girl Crosby. I was by all accounts healthy. I just had a nagging, blurry spot in my right eye that showed up and wouldn't go away. I scheduled an appointment with my eye doctor who thought I had a detached retina. After seeing several eye specialists, I was told I potentially had melanoma of the eye, but it was recommended that I schedule an MRI and PET scan through my general practitioner. That series of events led my wife and me back to the same doctor's office, where just a few months earlier I had passed my annual physical with flying colors. We were told that the results of the PET scan were all lit up. I had cancer, quote, everywhere. It was in both of my lungs, my liver, my lymph nodes, and my bones, and plus my right eye, and it subsequently traveled to my brain. A week later, a biopsy revealed I had a non-small cell lung cancer. In just 3.5 weeks, I went from seeing a blurry spot to being told I had a year, maybe 2 to live. Further genetic testing revealed I had a genetic cell mutation affecting less than 5% of adenocarcinoma patients called ALK translocation. It's all relative these days, but we were ecstatic with this news, actually, because we knew there was an FDA-approved targeted SMART drug that specifically treated this mutation. Despite living through it, it is still difficult for me to put into words what that experience was like. It's not because it's emotional to recall those first few weeks, but there are no words to describe what it feels like to be told you have an incurable disease that will kill you. I hope and pray no one within the sound of my voice has to experience what I'm failing to describe, but unfortunately the odds are many will. 1 in every 14 people will receive a lung cancer diagnosis, and due to the lack of reliable form of early detection, lung cancer is the most lethal form of cancer. It kills more people each year than breast, colorectal, pancreatic, and prostate cancers combined. According to the NCI, approximately 160,000 people will lose their lives to lung cancer this year. That's the equivalent of a jumbo jet falling out of the sky every single day. The 5-year survival rate, which has already been touched upon, is about 15 or 16%. For stage 4 patients like me, the chances I live more than 5 years is only 1%. That means I have a 1% chance of watching my kids grow up or growing old with my amazing wife. Lung cancer kills almost twice as many women as breast cancer and almost 3 times as many men as prostate cancer, yet the funding lung cancer receives pales in comparison due primarily to the stigma that lung cancer is self-induced as a result of smoking. I had never smoked, and this stigma needs to end. I have included a number of statistics in my testimony today, but I don't consider myself to be one. I never have. But stats are driven by facts, and the fact is more funding is needed for lung cancer research. The bottom line is research saves lives. I'm a living example of that. The drugs that have kept me alive for the past 18 months were not available just 7 years ago. The first drug I was on, Xalkori, is a smart oral chemo which specifically targets the ALK translocation. Within a week of being on Xalkori, I'd regained my energy, my vision was almost clear, I was back to work, and most importantly, was present at the birth of my daughter. Unfortunately, after 2 months, the efficacy of the drug played out just as dramatically. I was soon enrolled in a clinical trial in Philadelphia for another oral chemotherapy, a second-generation ALK inhibitor, LDK-378. The average response to LDK is 7.5 months, which is approximately how long I was on the trial before I started having major complications and progression of disease. However, during those 7.5 months, I watched my son turn 4 and my daughter turn 1, and my wife and I spent a week driving the Pacific Coast Highway, which is something we always wanted to do. LDK, now known as Zycadia, is the same drug that received the FDA's breakthrough therapy designation last week. Unfortunately, earlier this year, the progression of disease was significant enough that my oncologist moved me to non-targeted intravenous chemotherapy. After 2 rounds of that chemo, scans revealed further progression of disease. So 8 weeks ago, I began my second clinical trial, an immunotherapy trial at Johns Hopkins, under the direction of my amazing oncologist, Dr. Julie Bramer. If you are keeping track, 18 months post-diagnosis, I'm now on my 4th treatment. These targeted treatments, like Zycadia, have allowed me to live a relatively normal and productive life. Thanks to these medical breakthroughs, I've been able to experience many quality-filled days with my family. As a late-stage cancer patient, I'm fully aware that I'm kicking the can, so to speak. Luckily, I've honed my procrastination skills over the years, and with the right combination of science, prayer, and the love and support we receive from what we affectionately call Team Kennett, we fully intend to keep kicking that can from trial to trial until one day we can all celebrate a cure for cancer. Again, I thank the committee for holding this hearing and stand ready to answer any of your questions.